A pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome once again to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show. Heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's guest menu looks like this. He is the Vice President and Director of Athletics at Florida A&M University, Courtney Gaucher. He'll join me at about 10:30ish in hour number one, talking, just giving an update on FAMU, athletic facilities update, and also get his thoughts on, now that the divisions are set, how does he feel? What does he have to say about a sweet spot in the Eastern Division? We'll talk to Courtney Gaucher about that. Then following Courtney Gaucher will be the coach. He'll be back. Coach Van Pettaway, I'm sure we'll talk some interesting sports topics, a little bit of the NBA, and a little bit of everything else. Coach Pettaway joins me in hour number two. Then last but not least, a late addition to the show, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. And by the way, folks, did you get a chance to see the ring ceremony with the football team receiving their gorgeous rings back to back? You know what? One thing about Coach McNair, who I had on a couple of weeks ago, he's always cool, calm, and collect. But the grin on his face, he was smiling from ear to ear. And you know what? He should. What an accomplishment. But I tell you what, I got flashbacks again. Will I ever get over it? Am I going to go back and watch the SWAC championship again, expecting a different outcome? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still affected. But admitting that I am is the first step. But congratulations to Alcorn State receiving those gorgeous rings. And I must admit, I am jealous as heck. And I'm going to ask Charles Edmond. I said all of that to say this. I wonder if Charles and Dean Barnes got rings as well. In 1999, I got a ring being a part of the Southern University Football Radio Network. I got a ring, 1999. What a year. But Charles Edmond will join me as the final guest on the Carlos Brown Show. Here's what's trending. Oh boy, the big news. HBCU Sports exclusively reported this past week through their sources that prime time. Deion Sanders will be the next JSU football coach, and today now being picked up by Yahoo Sports. Then Sports Illustrated picked it up. Guess what? We had heard about Deion Sanders a month ago. So, Monday, official announcement. Have you seen on social media the itinerary for Monday, which actually starts Sunday? We'll have more information on Deion Sanders, the next head football coach at Jackson State. And quite simply on today's show, in between guests, you can send me your true feelings about the JSU's move as far as the head football coach. I have some comments, and I've talked to some people, colleagues, some people in the business, a couple of football coaches, and I'll just share their thoughts on what they told me about all of this. So with that being said, that's trending on the Carlos Brown Show. Ricky Weeks elected to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame here in the state of Louisiana. A prolific collegiate hitter, the former Southern University All-American, set 2 NCAA records that are still on the books heading into the 2021 season. Division I career batting average, 465, and career slugging percentage, 927. Of course, he went on to have a major league career with the Milwaukee Brewers, and that's what he's mostly known for. Also, Arizona and Seattle and Tampa Bay. Weeks had a 246 career batting average with 161 home runs and 474 RBIs. But boy, what a game changer! The legendary Coach Roger Cater, signed him. He got him to Southern University. Just an outstanding history at Southern University. Went to the major leagues, and just a nice guy. The time that I had to interact with him, very nice. And then last but not least, NCAA Division I Council approves November 25th start date for men's and women's basketball. So, for some of you in the conference, basketball is your sport. You're going to be tough. You can't wait. You're excited. Albeit a pandemic going on, we know who the schools that are going to battle it out in the conference. You got two-time champions, Prairie View A&M on the men's side. You got Jackson State defending champions on the women's side. And I'm sure they're ready to get it on. So that's what's trending on today's Carlos Brown Show. And I also must say this. Got the news on the social media feed last night. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice, rest in peace. She fought the good fight. When I tell you many, many health issues, but always doing her job. Always toughness. Now she's earned her rest. And to add on to this, November 3rd is looming and beyond. Exercise your constitutional right and vote. Although you have hurdles and obstacles in the way, get out and vote, whether it's mail-in and in person. This is the fight of fights coming up, and I'll leave it at that. Good morning to you, Dr. Prince.
Good morning, brother. How you doing this morning?
I'm just doing peachy.
Peachy King?
Peachy.
That's all right,
peachy.
Man. You sound like you got some energy and pep in your step today, man.
Well, I thought I had it all the time, but
no, I mean you really sounded feisty today, man.
Well, it's always something going on. You know, if it's not someone, journeying on to the next level, you have that. Then you have the Deion Sanders situation at Jack State. Can it just be over? My goodness. And the decision that's going to be made, JSU officials, they're going to have to live with their decisions. I've always said that over the last 6, 7, 8 years, the decisions that you make, they have ramifications, whether good or bad. Of course, we always talk about the good things. And making hires, and I'm no director of athletics, of course. I've talked to people who have been on hiring committees. Now sometimes the ADs make almost, you can say, a direct hire, or they may have the final say-so, of course. But this is going to be an interesting decision. And on social media, boy, people are going back and forth.
Why?
Here's an example of what I hear. It's a splash hire. It's a big name hire. Sell tickets to get the crowd in. Then you hear people say, "Well, he doesn't have any head coaching experience," and it's going to be an interesting move. If it works out, he will only be there a couple of years. It's a stepping stone to bigger and better things. What happens to T.C. Taylor, the interim coach, who I think, in my opinion, really wants the job? So you have that going on. Then you hear names everywhere about who's going to be on the staff. Then you hear people say, well, to them it's a bit disrespectful that they've had coaches who have gone through the process and just need an opportunity to coach, but he gets an opportunity because of who he is and his name. So those are just some of the things.
Well, I mean, and all of it is valid, depending on who you ask and what side of the coin that you're on. But ultimately, there's an old saying, it's not necessarily what you know, but who you know, and taking advantage of the opportunities that present itself. And then sometimes you have to look at the big picture of things, and it's doing something that money can't buy. It's free pub for JSU because people are talking about it. People are talking about Deion. People are talking about the what ifs, the coulda, woulda, shouldas, the possibilities, the ramifications. But for the most part, it's all but a done deal. They're just going through covering themselves, dotting I's, crossing T's. But when the dust settles, as you stated, it's a decision that JSU has comfortably made with the leadership of Ashley Robinson and the support of the Board of Regents and JSU Nation, not Jag Nation, but Tiger Nation, and everyone else involved. So now it's just a matter.
Don't mix up those two.
Please, no, not at all. But it's just a matter now of will it all play out on the positive side, on the win-win side for everyone? Because when the dust settles, it's a business. It's part political, and it's just part of the life that we've inherited now in this 21st century.
Their decision, their consequences, they have to live with it. JSU. Well, and I know some people say, well, it's great for the conference. Says who?
Well, I was going to say, you say they have to live with it, but in essence, the conference as a whole will have to live with it as well, because there's going to always be a positive and a negative, right? The positive is that Deion comes to the conference, brings light to the conference, right? A positive that Deion could have a successful run. It brings more light to the conference, right? Or the negative side, Deion comes to the conference and he just does a crash and burn. Either way, it's a gamble, but you don't make advancements without taking calculated risk, right? So that's how you have to look at it from an optimist or optimistic viewpoint. But if you want to be a pessimist, then you could throw another 101 reasons on why it won't work, shouldn't work, and couldn't work.
Well, old saying says time will tell.
Right.
And I'm sure it'd be interesting. You could probably ask some of the coaches off the record what they think and what they feel. The PR angle would be, oh yeah, it's good for the conference. We wish him the best of luck. And basically, I would say I wish him the best. But then also, the
I know you wouldn't mean that. I know you wouldn't be meaning that. You would not coming from you.
I'm going to kick his teeth in if I get the opportunity.
You're not going to mean that.
Well, no, they'll be politically correct and probably say it that way. But I know the competitive side is, you know what? You come into the conference, you come in to win, but guess what? My job is to make you uncomfortable. My job is to make you not comfortable at all. Mm-hmm. And I would like to see how the press conference goes from the competitive standpoint. Yeah, look, it's a human interest story. It's great. It's outstanding. It has us talking about it. But at the end of the day, there's going to be wins and losses and putting students, athletes in a position to graduate. And they've done a great job in that. Mm-hmm. And as every coach's objective is to win and put your student athletes in a position to be successful. And also to be successful and give your story to life after sports, life after football. Correct?
Oh, yes, sir. No doubt about it.
So, that's a given. That's what's going to be said. But the nuts and bolts is the question I put out there, and I see people weighing in already. Will he get it done? What kind of grace period will he have? Will it be 2 or 3 years? other things you hear. Oh boy, he can go into anybody's house, and they're going to see prime time. Well, I guess the youngsters today, they may know about it.
Well, I'm pretty sure they would know
they
about
go to YouTube.
Right. But here's the question, and I won't even say question, but more of a comment to what you just said. Yes, he can go into any house and he can get them to come, but you still got to coach them. You still got to train them up. You still got to get them ready. You still got to have a concept. You got to have a scheme, and you got to have the motivation to get them to come. Then you have to understand what I'm hoping that if he does, well, it's not if, when he's officially announced, that he surrounds himself around the right people, because I got one area that I know is going to be a neutralizer for any and everybody that walks into the big boy chair, and that is the good people from compliance. And if he does not understand compliance and APR, it is going to be rough, not just on Dion, but on any coach that comes in trying to cut their teeth at head coaching on a D1 level.
And that's why it's so important to have the best people around you. And you can't micromanage people. Look, if I'm a coach, I want the best staff around me that I can assemble and money will allow. I don't want no doggone yes man or yes lady every time I say, oh, yeah, you're right, coach. No, if you see something that's not right, I want you to challenge and bring that up. This is going to be a tremendous opportunity. But I think the conference succeeds post Deion Sanders. It succeeded before Deion Sanders. Coaches come and go. But the bottom line, it's going to be very interesting. Now, if we look ahead, 2021, 2022, 2021, that football media day, you're going to have some personalities up there. You're going to have some outstanding individuals.
And I can almost guarantee that you're going to get a double participation from the media standpoint, to where you have, normally it's about 20, 30 of us max. I can guarantee you that will easily double or triple if we go back to meeting in person on media days. Because, with the way this thing is going, what COVID has taught us, you can get a lot of things done cost effectively by way of technology and not spend as much money, but still get the same results.
Well, people are weighing in, and someone addressed me personally. Carlos, you remember the last time someone did a splash hire? I want you to enlighten me a little bit more. I have a couple of.
The one I'm thinking about is Stump Mitchell. If we're talking about football.
And I was thinking about that as well. And although he's an outstanding
individual
person, person. But guess what? That didn't go well. That didn't go well at all. So add on to that, listener. Text me back. I think I know what you're talking about, and it could be more examples.
Or do you think he's talking about Doug Williams?
I think Doug was successful, and time will tell with prime time. I'm gonna call him prime time. And guess what? When we have that SWAC football media day, I'm not gonna be sweating and going like, "Oh my God, it's prime time." You know what? I'm going like I normally do. Hey.
You're not gonna pull out your old 21 jersey, man, and have them sign it?
No. Sorry. Not going to do it.
Okay. Maybe you're just going to bring your cap. Maybe you're going to bring your cap.
He puts on his baseball hat just like anybody else.
Okay.
That's what I say. Well, one listener says, you know what I think about the Deion situation. I know.
Uh-oh. Now, y'all might as well get ready for it. If you have any anti-Deion, anti-Jackson comments, you're going to be labeled as a hater. You're going to be labeled as being jealous.
Don't matter to me.
Well, no, I'm just saying we love to support and we become very protective of our institutions, and we get on the defensive side if someone says anything that remotely challenges. It's not that you're talking about it, but when you have legitimate questions or concerns about any of the institutions, it's like we have no problem identifying the Mississippi Valley has challenges. But the minute you bring up any of the other institutions, whoa, why y'all worried about us? Why y'all talking about us? Worry about yourself and do what you got to do. And it's all fair territory. Now, I don't like talking, making it personal, talking about people personally, but overall, the way institutions are run, the way programs are run, it's all fair game, especially in our genres, sports talk radio.
Well, you have to be a realist, and back to the Mississippi Valley situation, it is what it is. You would know the struggle, the resources issue, but I thought they did an outstanding job football-wise. I saw improvement. Baseball challenges, basketball. Coach Hunter, who I've reached out to come on the show, he's there, and yeah, they have challenges, but you call it the way you see it.
Don't we all have challenges?
Yeah, everybody. So that's what I'm saying. This, like, if we go back to, and people gave me their reasons why it was valid. I still think some of it's questionable, but at least be honest about it. Say, well, they're the institution I worry about the most from a travel standpoint. Isn't that what we heard?
Mm-hmm.
At least you said, well, that's kind of like your second school you pull for, or adopted school, or you said something.
Right. Well, and the reason why, because they are always the underdog. And I just believe that if you keep grinding and you keep doing things the right way, eventually you're going to get that crack, and you just got to take advantage of that crack and make it a gaping hole. And that's why I pull for all SWAC schools, especially when they're competing outside the conference. The only time that I really thoroughly root against a SWAC opponent is when they play against my beloved Panthers. But when the truth is told, being a survivor of the 0-88, I empathize with Valley. That's why you'll never hear me saying Valley need to go and they need to go down. No, because the same could have been said about us at Prairie View, but we weathered the storms, the 40 years of darkness. 40 years of darkness. People seem to forget that. And if the truth be told, when I begin to talk about it with the Janet Jackson question, what have you done for me lately? Even with all the money that's been spent, and here it comes, get ready for the boom, Prairie View is still underachieved. If you take aside basketball, Prairie View is underachieved in everything else. And I can say that as an alumnus.
Yeah, but for the record, I can only speak for myself. I don't even think about, what was it, 0-88? Whatever it was.
You don't think about it because you didn't have to live through it. I lived through it.
Well, no, I remember it, but I also remember them still being competitive, and the only chance I got to see them was when they would come play Southern, or Southern would go there, and they were still some battles. And then too, the perception is in the conference, I would think, is that now Prairie View is from a financial standpoint, hey, they don't suffer from lack of resources.
No,
facility wise is outstanding, but and then I go to Alcorn State. I talked to some Alcorn State alums. You know what? From a resources standpoint and a budget standpoint, they're not doing that great,
right?
As far as financial, and I think we all of us can kind of say our institutions have some problems that they have to get over with.
Room for improvement from top to bottom, and
so. With Mississippi Valley State, though, it is what it is. But if you look at Alabama State, they would make a case overall sports programs.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, and the stigma.
They just hadn't won any football championship.
The stigma is because they had not excelled on the football side of things. They look at that program as incomplete. But when you look at it across the board, 18 sports per 18 sports or 14 sports, when you go sport for sport, go down the checklist, they have been the most consistent and I dare not say dominant athletic program in the Southwestern Athletic Conference for the past 10 years.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how all of this goes as we go back to Jackson State. And hey, the decision they make, and they've made it. We'll see Monday. And the bottom line is guess what? That's a decision they made. They're going to have to live with it.
Right.
And that is the bottom line. We can express our opinion about what we think about it. We can give opinions of what others have stated. But the bottom line is this. If it's a successful decision and hire, time will show. If not, then I think it's going to be bad on somebody.
Well, no doubt about it. This is going to be a pressure check for the AD Robertson. Because let's be honest, you're gauged on your football and basketball hires, especially on our level. The other ones you can kind of skate through it, but what you do with football, what you do on that hardwood, you're going to be under a severe gauge and microscope. And he's got to want this to work because, you're taking a chance. It's a calculated risk in whatever we do. But he said, man, you got to make this work. You got to work because both of their reps are on the line for this one.
And that's what they get paid the big bucks for, to make the decisions. And you live with that decision. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it works out, it works out. We'll come back and say that was a great hire. Look what they've done. And then throw in if they get some championships out of it, or a championship, or if they're competitive and they get second place a couple of times, two years in a row. Isn't that successful?
Well, it could be. And I was going to ask you, what would
Wait a minute, could be? What do you mean could be? Well, if his first year to get second place.
No, I'm saying it depends on who you are. And that's what I was going to ask you, sir.
Now, don't ask me about that because I know a team, a sport that's got run up 2 years in a row, and I have people tell me you don't seem satisfied.
Well, no, it's not about being satisfied, but don't be over zealous nor unappreciative about where you are because I'll trade with you to be in that position with Prairie View and at Southern. I'll take that.
What are you saying?
What I'm saying is,
what are you saying?
What I'm saying, if you let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you what I'm saying right now. What what I'm saying is this: you always strive for perfection, but be a realist and be thankful for where you are. And if the truth be told, talent for talent, depend on if you go up and down the board, you could go this for that, that for this. Alcorn has had a slight advantage over you, okay? And that's just a reality.
Oh, over you meaning Southern?
Yes.
Had a advantage over everybody else in the conference, right?
Of course. But
okay,
you're the one,
I just want to make sure I'm hearing this.
But you're the one asking for the head of the leader, talking about this is not acceptable, this is not good enough. And my question is,
wait a minute, Dr. Prince. You're saying that I've asked for Odoms to be fired?
No. Listen,
what are you saying?
But if one would listen, you would be okay if they said there's the exit door. I didn't say you're advocating he get fired. What you're saying is not acceptable. It's celebration of bust, and you're saying all that. And so my question is, where and how can you do better with anyone else in the country, considering the circumstances that you have at Southern University?
See, I always hear this circumstances. APR brought them out and what have you. And not to turn this into specifically about Southern University.
Right.
But the simply answer that winning a championship, getting to the door 2 years in a row, just one. Would have won once. Conversation is totally different. Totally different. But I've also said that if you're the run-up 2 years in a row and you're happy with the overall program, then you're happy with the situation as is. But I would think just a slight few of those Southern Knights, boy, they wish out of those 2 years, wow, come on with a championship. And I don't think that is a bad situation to feel that way if you're a Southernite. And then if you're looking at the bigger picture, if you look at the bigger picture, as I asked you before, let's just get down to the nuts and bolts of it. My personal opinion, I look at Alcorn and Grambling State. Those two teams, Odoms and that staff, they're judged on those two games. Because when we look at the record, it's an outstanding record against other teams in the conference. But Alcorn, you know the numbers, 1-11. And I throw that back to anybody who's listening. Should your team be 1-whatever against a rival? Hell, if it was 1-11 against Jackson State, it would have been some action done.
Look, I know
if Prairie View or Texas Southern was 1-11, no, switch back. Prairie View, if they were 1-11 against Texas Southern, you wouldn't be turning flips.
No, I wouldn't be turning flips in any sport. Any sport, but we're talking about football right now, so I won't digress. But with that being said, I will ask you, sir, you, Mr. Carlos Brown, the guru, free agent, what they call you, franchise. Would you give me the top 4 coaches in the Southwestern Athletic Conference in football?
Not right now, because 10:31. So I go to Courtney Gaucher. But I know number 1 right now. You have to say Fred McNair.
Okay. And when we take the break, you think about that.
Now that's 1. So we got 3 left.
Right.
And if you want to join in, folks, and send me your top 4 coaches in the conference. And the battle, I don't think the battle or the debate or the conversation will center around who's number 1. We know who number 1 is.
Right.
We actually can say number 2. There's a strong. You'd have to put owners at number 2 based on at least the last 2 years, if not look at the whole body of his work. And then 3 and 4, you could kind of get into some nice, back and forth on that. On 3 and 4.
Okay.
But so remember that. And folks out there, you can also, if you want to weigh in, I kind of got the 4 in my head already, so it's interesting. But all of this to say, again, best of luck to Jackson State on their hire, because they got to live with their decision. And we'll see Monday what happens. But we want to give credit what credit's due. HBCU sports was the first to officially break it, although that conversation was going on at least a month ago. And there's a time sometimes where, and I've talked about this before, breaking the story first, then you have Sports Illustrated, Yahoo Sports, and Ross Dellinger. To be honest with you, I remember he was a beat writer at the Clarion Ledger. So that's where his connection is. And I've interviewed him on my other radio show a couple of times. But, it's not more so being the first to break something, but be right more so. And this whole situation has been interesting. You have denial by the university. No, that's not true. But at the end of the day, it's been back and forth. And I personally just sat back and just watched all of it unfold. I didn't want to touch that with a 20-foot spoon. In this one case, it was just, I'll just wait till Jackson State breaks it officially. Whatever they do. So anyway, take a quick time out. Courtney Gaucher will join the next Vice President and Director of Athletics at FAMU. He comes up next. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Hello, this is Alonzo Hardy Jr., the president of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999, at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or luncheon where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Prophet Wackenmaster Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is swakalumniassociation@yahoo.com.
Come on.
Laptops, MP3 players, cameras, video games, cell phones. In times like these, schools can become a shopping mall for thieves. Don't become a victim of crime. Leave your valuable stuff at home, and if you do have to bring them to school, keep them with you. Write down their serial numbers, and don't flash expensive items around. Be smart. If you have something cool, there's a good chance someone else will want it too. Keep cash and ATM cards in a secure place, and never give anyone your PIN number. And don't leave your school bag lying around where it can become a temptation to someone else. If you have something stolen, report the situation immediately. The sooner you tell someone, the better the chance you'll get it back. Visit ncpc.org to learn more about how to prevent school theft. That's ncpc.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
Your education, your health care, your community, your future. Your vote counts for many things. Take control. Get registered. Get educated. Get out and vote. Learn more at www.vote411.org. This is a public service announcement from Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. We'll switch away from the prime time announcement and now talk to another prime time person. He is Vice President, Director of Athletics at Florida A&M University, Courtney Gaucher. Courtney, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Well, I'm doing fine, and how about yourself?
No complaints here. It's been a great week on the highest of Seven Hills.
Oh boy, yeah. My experience being at FAMU for a football game, it is a great experience. I must admit it. Although on the end of a loss, the two times that I visited Tallahassee, but besides that, Courtney, it still was an outstanding venue and a place to play football.
No doubt. Well, that had to be an exception because we brag different, and that doesn't happen too often in Tallahassee.
Oh, 2021 can't get there fast enough. And 22, it's going to be exciting. It's all going to be so exciting. But speaking of exciting, FAMU sports facility update, a budget that everyone seems to be happy with. They're just elated over that. Talk about the updates at FAMU as far as sports facilities and being fiscally responsible.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of movement here in Tallahassee right now, and when we got here 10 months ago, I'll say this, and I'll start kind of with the good. We probably have the best basketball arena in Black college athletics. It's a beautiful facility in the Al Lawson Center. Just under 10 years old, and we're very proud of that crown jewel. But we have some challenges outside of that, with our other programs, and in particular football. There's no secret, when the Rattlers are taking the field, we're going to pack the house. And our stadium is it's just dated and antiquated. And I started in November. In January, I got a folder saying, hey, you got to invest in your football stadium this year, otherwise you won't have one next year. And, so we started to really work on that. And, we had about $6 million worth of repairs that needed to happen. So we started to go to work on it. And, through some of our local community assets, with our local city and county officials, we started to work and talk about the economic impact that we have on the city of Tallahassee. And on Thursday, we were awarded a $10 million grant to renovate Bragg Memorial Stadium, and that's the largest investment from the city and county into our university. And so we're very happy to deliver that, but we've been busy, renovating our football field house and providing our kids with a first-class experience. Nothing's happened really to Bragg Memorial Stadium and Gilmore Powell Fieldhouse for 37 years. So I had lockers in the facility that were older than me. So that's pretty hard to recruit to, and we've been laser focused on getting it right.
And Courtney, correct me if I'm wrong, with Bragg Stadium, it was some structural foundation issues that you had to get straight quickly?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now
so
that is very important.
It is, and it's a community asset. A lot of people think that, hey, we just use it on Saturdays to play football. But I'll say this, in the time where our community needed us the most, we've stepped up. We used Bragg Memorial Stadium to test, I think to date, over 45,000 people for COVID-19. And you tell me another university or college who's used their football stadium in that way to serve its community. And I think that's a pretty short list, and we'd be at the top of it. So,
yeah, kudos. That's an outstanding effort to do that for the community, because fighting against this COVID-19 it's an ongoing situation, especially with needing as more testing as you can get. So, hats off to you guys and FAMU for doing that.
We appreciate it.
Visiting with Courtney Gaucher, Vice President and Director of Athletics at Florida A&M University. Also, softball. Yeah, update to the softball facilities for the women.
Yeah, we've been aggressive. A lot of people, focus on the revenue-generating sports, football and basketball, and making sure that they're whole. But, as we started to really build out the departments the way that it's supposed to be, we realized that, we've got to make sure that we address Title IX issues and that we're doing things for our women's programs as well. And so we were able to install AstroTurf for our softball program. And it's a beautiful facility already. And, as we look forward to the future, we're going to save about $80,000 a year. Because now we don't have to pay for, preventative maintenance, cutting it and top dressing it and, irrigation systems, all of those things. So long term, we will save money and, quite frankly, don't have to worry about weather. It rains here in Florida just about every day, and that can delay you or prevent your practice from happening. And now we've eliminated those problems. And so, did that for our softball program. Our baseball program didn't have a locker room, We now have them a locker room and first class facility, and the same thing for our 2-track programs. So we've been busy down here in Tallahassee.
Courtney, to do all of this, of course, it takes funds to do that, and I've noticed that your alumni, particularly your national alumni, president and your alumni, they're an important piece to help with the financing, correct?
Absolutely. We couldn't do it without our alumni, people who believe in us. We kicked off a fundraising campaign in March, which was right at the beginning of the pandemic. People were like, yeah, no way you're going to get this done. And to date, we've raised over $500,000, and we're on our way to our goal of $750. And so our folks have stepped up in a mighty way. We even we've gotten the Divine Nine stirred up in this thing, and the Ice Cold Brothers of Baton Rouge actually stepped up with $100,000 gift about 2 weeks ago. Wow. And that has, how Alphas do, they always lead the way. 06 to Good Brothers, but that has stirred some things up, and so as the late John Lewis said, we had some good trouble, and that's it.
And good trouble, and there's an opportunity now that, of course, moving into the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and I'm sure that has the alums excited about that. And to be honest with you, Courtney, you hear a lot of the fan base of FAMU. They're kind of like some other fan bases in the conference already. So it should be a good match. But I guess the question is, how excited are the alums? You're still seeing effects of the announcement of moving to the Southwestern Athletic Conference?
Absolutely. Quietly kept. I think our alumni and our base, they've wanted this for years. But I think one of the things that has challenged us is having the leadership, the plan, and to be able to execute the plan and get it done. Again, as I stated, it was conference realignment was one of the things that I knew was on the radar when I took the job. I didn't think that it would be in the first 6 months, 7 months. Right. But, obviously there's some factors that dictated that. But this move is in the best interest of FAMU. The timing's right. The momentum's right. And we're excited about getting in the league. And I guess, we get to start off with prime time. And we'll remind him that real football happens in Tallahassee.
I heard that. And I can hear some saying, oh boy, save a little bit for the rest of us, because we've had a lively discussion already on today's show about that. And speaking of that, you just mentioned strike while the momentum, and it's hot. The divisional settings have been announced in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and I think we shared a text message. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on divisions now. And, of course, FAMU, Bethune-Cookman will be in the East. Did you see that happening, or you didn't know what to expect? But I guess I'm asking your thoughts on the divisions being set in the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Yeah. I think naturally when, we made the move and we knew that our younger fans over in Daytona were going to follow Big Brother. We knew that was going to happen. I just kidding. Grandpa's is a great friend of mine, and it's some good folks over there. But, when we knew that was going to happen, I think for us, we kind of had a conceptual idea of
just kind of how it was going to work out. And we're pleased with it. Commissioner McClellan, again, expansion was something that wasn't really immediately on his radar. And the fact that we made this transition, there's going to be some adjustments we all have to make and all of those type of things, but we're pleased with it. We're going to be able to save revenue from a travel perspective. I think from brand ID and matchups week to week, it's almost going to be very similar to the SEC. Week in and week out, these are going to be perennial matches that, quite frankly, people want to see, people want to invest in, and it's going to be great quality football and, conference-wide. And so that's what it's all about for us. And, we're looking forward to what things will hold.
How would you, and I'm sure you get a chance to look at social media, talk to different people about the situation. Now, one of the things that I've, in kind of my discussions when I'm not doing this show is, and I guess it's a point that several other people have made to me, that is, they think now that FAMU and Bethune-Cookman will have an easier route, and we're talking about football now, because they believe the East is much weaker than the West. If you had to address a room full of people, a room full of people, and some of them brought that to your attention, how would Courtney Gaucher address that comment?
Well, this is what I'd say. Hey, everybody's got an opinion, but I'm gonna tell you this. I mean, the quality of football, the quality of football in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. I mean, it's second to none. I'll tell you this: people are reloading the guns because FAMU and Bethune-Cookman are in the league. So there's not going to be too many cakewalks. And I can tell you, as you look at just the quality of black college football across the spectrum, even in the MEAC, you've had some teams that have really come a long way. You've got some quality coaches. And so, hey, I'll put it this way. I think you better get your popcorn for Saturdays in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, because anybody can beat anybody. And, we plan on running the table, but, we definitely respect our competition.
Somebody's listening, coming in right now. Tell Courtney don't be too happy. What? 9 in a row. Okay. Sign a Bethune-Cookman University fan. Well, Courtney, shots have been fired, I guess.
It's all right. That's all right. We back now.
Well, to your point, though, it is going to be very competitive. And the teams that haven't had as much success as they wanted to in the past, I think it's a challenge now. Everybody's going to step it up. They're going to have to, because you're not going to be able to have a week off, especially when you get conference play. And no matter if it's football, basketball, baseball, it's the competitiveness now has been etched up threefold, in my humble opinion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, we're excited about it. And I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Creating an alignment, giving your kids a chance to win a championship. That's what we're about at FAMU, rings and degrees. We do talk a lot of junk, we do fill up the stadium, but at the end of the day, our mission here, Coach Willis Simmons' mission here, is to win championships and see these kids walk across the stage with a degree in one hand and a championship ring on the other.
Well, speaking of that, the next big thing is going to be that football format. And I'm sure that's being worked on as we speak. Do you have a preference of the format? And, you look at some of these cross-divisional games. I had Dr. Travian Scott, who you know very well, I'm sure. talking about Jackson State as a common opponent from the other division, but it brings the question of FAMU. Do you see a scenario where some people will want you on the schedule all the time, even if it's in a non-conference game?
Well, I'll say this, I'll say this. Everybody doesn't get their first choice, but we put it this way: there are some natural rivalries we'd love to see on a continual basis. We'd love to play Southern every year. We'd love to play Jackson every year. Obviously, the Alabama schools. These are things. These are bands. These are games that people really want to see, and it makes sense geographically. So I'll tell you this. Everybody wants to play FAMU. I think everybody wants the Tallahassee experience, and quite frankly, the Marching 100 is often imitated but never duplicated, and so we might.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard that before, Courtney.
Yeah, I know it. But we might teach some of these bands, the real way to do it. And so, I can imagine that everybody wants to play us too.
Well, at least I've heard a couple of institutions been named that you always hear that everybody wants to play, and then there's some that you never hear about, but. Again, everybody's got to step up their A game. They really do. Well, on that note, Courtney, appreciate the time as always. A very interesting conversation. And Courtney, I tell you, oh boy, can we just fast forward? Fast forward to 2021 and beyond. It is going to be very, very interesting.
Well, I appreciate you gentlemen for having us, and it will be. It'll be a great time, and I can tell you right now, our Rattlers, and quite frankly, our student athletes, coaches, even our president, we can't wait to fall 2021 to do this thing the right way and play some first class sports at some great places, and to really take things to the next level. Yeah,
and 10 great institutions plus 2. Now you have 12 in the conference, and I wish everyone the best of luck. And Courtney, I'll see if I can put my half cent in that Southern FAMU can meet every year in football, although it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but I hope I don't be accused of trying to load up Southern schedule, so there's no success guaranteed. No, but competition, you can't run from it, and competition makes you better.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I certainly appreciate it, and you're right. And, we look forward to it wherever the chips may fall. And, we're excited about the future of the SWAC and the future of FAMU athletics.
Appreciate the time. Courtney, agree with you 100% on that. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we will talk again real soon, I'm sure.
Likewise. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Courtney Gaucher, Vice President, Director of Athletics at Florida A&M University. Well, Courtney, as I tell you, he's transparent, and that's the way you should be. He puts it out there, and when he puts it out there, that's a good thing. I'm kind of looking at I'm getting people who are weighing in on the top 4 coaches in the conference. Let me read a few of these messages. Top 4 coaches. Thanks, listener. Fred McNair, number 1. Number 2, Broderick Favre, Celebration Bowl title. And by the way, I'm hoping to have him on very soon. Only SWAC coach to have one. Odom's number 3. Maynard, number 4. Major improvement in 2 years. Went from bottom feeder to now competing for division titles. Let me find a couple more here. Top 4 coaches. And by the way, the listener says, quit watching the game over. It won't change.
Thank you, listener.
Swag 19
Say it. Read that one more time, Carlos. Read it one more time.
He said, quit watching the game over. It won't change.
Well, look, as they would say in the church, one more time for the Holy Spirit.
Congratulations on your rings, Alcorn. I must say, if you didn't get that championship, you ought to have enough motivation to get some of those rings. Listener Derek says top 4 coaches: McNair, Odoms, Fobbs, and Willie Simmons. And then I have a couple of just text messages I just want to read. And if I need to read them after the hour, well, here's listener Jack. Let's just pull this up here. Jack disagrees with me most of the time, but that's all right. But that's the way it is. He says, I thought Dr. Prince's questions centered around the top 4 football coaches in the SWAC and not necessarily the present top teams. Based on the culture, Grambling State 1, 2 Southern, 3 Jackson State, 4 Alcorn State. Now, I don't know about. I didn't interpret it as you were talking about football culture.
No, not culture. We were saying coaches, but we can include culture too. But I was speaking of coaches, and
yeah, that's what I thought.
Now culture. I like that top 4 response as far as culture is concerned, but I was specifically speaking on coaches, and we would have, I think, both agree that Jackson State's coaching would not be in the top 4 at this point. Not at this point, but I could accept that as a culture. Because you said Grambling, Southern, Jackson State, and what was the other one I missed? Alcorn. Yes.
Alcorn.
Yeah.
That's when he's saying culture. Uh-huh. So if he wants to come back and say who his top 4 coaches are,
notice that those two coaches.
Even that could be debated.
Right. Well, I was going to say, notice with the 2 coaches, you had the same in the 3, not in necessary order, with Fobbs, McNair, and Odom. Then one said Maynard and another one said Simmons. So that's the point that I was driving home to you. You're in a good place, and I understand you want to get better. But the old saying say, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it.
But, and I hear that. Then I hear people tell me about, you try to compare Odoms to Comedy and the similarities. Yeah, they won championship. Got to the championships multiple times, only brought home 1. That's a similarity. That's that in that. But 2 different situations. And again, you're not going to convince me. I have my opinion. And I'm not going to change.
Oh, my opinion. We know that.
My opinion, as simple as this, is if you're happy right now with getting there and falling short, then you're happy. That's it. You like the situation as is.
Let me ask you this.
But then there are others who believe that when you get there, multiple times, you've got to take advantage of that situation. And to say all of that to say this, conversation has come up, who coaches on the hot seat, warm seat, whatever. We know the competition now. We've stated multiple times, everyone's going to have to bring their A game, no matter what sport you're coaching, staff included. What better way to build your resume and get another extension to have a championship under your belt? Then you will have multiple championships under your belt.
I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
I want to ask you a question. Do you believe that if the roles were reversed, the sceneries were reversed. Odom is at Alcorn, and McNair is at Southern, with the same personnel, the same challenges that they've had, known and unknown. Do you think McNair would have success over Odom if he was at Alcorn and McNair was at Southern?
I'll put it this way. McNair would have a championship under his belt.
He would have a championship under his belt. As far
in that same situation, he would have at least one championship.
Okay, so you're okay with the recruiting?
No. I said what I just said. I'm banking on that. I believe that. What you asked me, I believe I answered it correct.
No, and I was just about to say, I want to make sure that in all my getting, I get an understanding that that you believe that this scenario, why Southern has not gotten over the Alcorn hump, has strictly been all 100% on coaching and coaching situations and staff.
Coaching, the coach is going to be held responsible regardless. No, he doesn't throw 6 picks. He doesn't fumble the ball. Yeah, I know Odom does have a championship.
Yeah, he
2013.
Does. Right.
That's what I said, listener.
Well, you didn't say it, but I wasn't going to correct you.
Well, no. Well, if I didn't, he does have one.
Right.
Matter of fact, 2014, he almost had another one, but a familiar opponent. I was at that game. I was actually at the 2013-14. Also the 1999.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got a ring for that one. We know you was there.
Yeah, well, no, I was there. Yeah.
But so what I'm saying is this:
he's not making the mental mistakes, but this thing is mental.
Well, if he's not making the mental mistakes, and you just said it's mental, who is it on then, Carlos?
You're asking me if someone throws an interception. You don't know who threw the interception?
No, but
whose fault it is?
So if I put you in as my quarterback and you throw 6 interceptions, but then they say fire me?
Once again, who's talking about firing?
Okay.
I'm just pointing out all who were there at that game. And by the way, you wouldn't get a chance to throw 3 or 4 picks or 2 fumbles. Then I'm going to let you sit on the sideline for a little bit just to make sure you can regain focus.
This is true, but always remember this, my friend. Always remember this. And we heard, and I'll give a slight advantage to McNair for saying that. He said we focus and concentrate on our number 2s more than we do the starters because for the most part, the starters have been through the system and they should know. So when he says preparing his backups, we might give a slight advantage to McNair. But that person who's number 2 and God forbid number 3, they are there for a reason. They are there because they cannot get it done in practice. You have some people who are practice warriors. They do it right 1,000% of the time during practice, but as soon as they get in front of the headlights, they clam up. They get stiff like a deer at headlight. So there is a reason that your number 2 is number 2 and your number 3 is number 3. And if the coach who's in the trenches with these guys know what these guys are capable of when it comes lights, camera, action, and he won't throw the kid in front of us. I'll never forget, and I know we got to take a break. Prairie View's playing Texas Southern. And Prairie View makes this comeback, and Prairie View had just taken the lead, and it appeared that the kicker kicked an onside kick. And everybody, well, what the heck was Heist Northern doing calling for an onside kick? And so he took the brunt of it because that's what the leaders do. They take the bullets for the team. But the kid really miskicked the ball, and it looked like an onside squib kick. And it took a couple of years to pass, and Northern and I talked, and he said, Prince, I couldn't put that kid and throw that kid in front of under the bus like that. So he had to take those bullets. Sometimes these coaches are taking it for the team when it's nothing to do with them.
The facts are this. Alcorn won in 2019, They won in 2018. Who did they defeat? Southern University, right?
Southern University, yes, sir.
Is that not a fact? All facts.
Those are
right?
absolute facts, yes, sir.
Now, opinion is what you're giving.
What opinion? I gave you facts.
What facts? You're saying that
the fact is that the mental collapse was not on the coach.
The coaching will be held responsible regardless.
And
no, he doesn't throw interception, but it's called game planning, making adjustments when that game planning doesn't go right. But ultimately, the head coach is going to be held responsible.
Yeah, he's going to be held responsible. You can make all the game plan and adjustment in the world. If your quarterback throws 6 picks, that's still on the player. That ain't got nothing to do with it.
Who's saying it's not? The coach is not throwing the ball. But there are ways that you can get it done or changed. Now, I mean, again, I'm gonna go to my next interview. If you're happy with the way things are, fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I'm not happy being the backup all the time. Being second all the time, no. But that's just my opinion. Well, look, man, some people agree with me. I see.
Why don't you take a sip of that spring water and let's get our next guest?
And that'll be Coach Pettaway. Because, see, Coach Pettaway don't believe in getting second all the time either.
Well, it's not all the time. It's just been the past 10 out of 11 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Alcorn, you're blessed. That's all I'm going to say. Because I believe if it was the other way around, Alcorn fans, you'll be feeling the same way. You know, we can get in these hypotheticals about it's not on. It's the coaches are not throwing interceptions. They're not fumbling, but I guess coaches have a little bit to do with some of the game planning. But anyway, you listen to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine.
Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I present to you 3 of the fiercest subjects ever assembled in the cage of doom. First, the brain-wrenching behemoth, Algebra 2, weighing in at a mind-boggling 800 pounds. Foreign languages! The multilingual international sensation capable of tossing you clear across the Atlantic. And finally, biology. More ferocious than formaldehyde, she'll dissect you 1 chromosome at a time. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. I'm in. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college. Find out which classes you need at knowhowtogo.org.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Folks, I promise I see your text messages, and I'm going to try to get with them and see if I can incorporate some with Coach Pettaway, who's once a coach, always a coach. Coach Pettaway, good morning to you, sir. How you doing?
Hey, good. I'm doing fine, Carlos. How are you today? I hope everybody's doing well.
Well, I'm doing fine, and you're doing well, and that's a good thing. I always enjoy talking with you, and you're one of the few people that could calm me down, I guess. Bring some different perspective to the conversation, and we're going to talk about a couple of things. Of course, I must admit, though, I thought about you when you texted me a few weeks ago, and then you talked about on the show in the NBA playoffs in the bubble. You said the Miami Heat were going to be a dangerous team, and Coach Pettaway, if they don't win another game, I just want to say I'm so proud of what they've accomplished. They have exceeded my expectations.
Well, I think they've exceeded a lot of people's expectations, except the people that's in that locker room. You know, they've always felt like they had a chance because of the work that they put in, and they get it done on the defensive end. See, I think that's what's being overlooked. Miami is a very physical team. They're playing basketball down the stretch right now, just like Southern basketball played last year down the stretch. They were very physical on the defensive end, and their defense turned into quick offense. Now, Miami can play with any of the other three teams that are left in the playoffs because they get it done on the defensive end, and they do not take plays off. I think that's been the key.
Mental, and I know you're saying physical toughness.
Yeah, they got the mental toughness too. In order to have physical toughness, you got to have. Okay, it's got to be in between the ears first. It has to be cerebral. That has to come first. That brings in the toughness and the consistency. That's what that does. So they got it both. They're very strong-minded team.
So when you hear Heat culture, and you have that on social media, Heat culture, that's just not putting that out there just for the heck of it.
No,
they really believe in that. And if someone say, "Well, Coach Pettaway, Heat culture," describe that to them.
Well, it's a toughness. It's a mentality. It's an understanding that when you come into this organization, you come in here to win. Forget about what you did before you got here. But this is how we do it. This is our process. This is what you have to buy into. And that's what coaches on the collegiate level, they do the same thing. You recruit different players, but they have to buy into your culture. And as a coach, you got to make sure that you have a culture established, a winning attitude. The little things. See, in college basketball, that means getting your tail up going to class so that you remain eligible to help your team. That means coming to practice, study hall, all of that on time, showing up, doing what you're supposed to do, being responsible, owning up to your responsibility. See, a lot of times we as coaches, we have to take that bullet for our players. In other words, you lose a close game, you know why you lost it as a coach, but you go ahead and take that. You accept the responsibility. Because listen, you're in basketball, you don't shoot it, you don't hit those, you don't blow up at the free throw line. You're not out there. You don't get that rebound. You don't turn it over. But you lose that game, it's on me, the coach. And I tell my players that publicly, I'm going to take the blame. But now when we get in that locker room and in practice,
preach,
Coach. We're gonna put the cards on the table.
Preach, sir. Preach.
I didn't throw the ball away. I didn't miss that bunny. I didn't force shots. So these are the kind of things that happen during the course of a basketball game that we as coaches, we still have to take the blame for that loss. If I had been a better coach, we would have won the game. If I had prepared my team better, we would have won the game. And that's what we do as coaches. That's what we're taught to do.
Now Coach Pettaway, that means to interrupt you, but we had this discussion before you came on, and I hear an amen situation in the background, but really the discussion was the coach will be held responsible. And I think you just said that. Now, you didn't travel. We'll use that in the basketball. Right. You didn't miss the last shot, or you didn't turn the ball over.
Correct.
But you're going to get the blame. You said that, and that was said as well. But also, as the head coach, you're responsible for putting them in the position, and that's all you can do.
Right. You put them in. You're responsible for putting your players in the right situation to be successful. Now, if I sit on that sideline and I know it's late in the game and I got my worst free throw shooter on the floor, that's on me. That's not on that kid. That's on the dumb coach for having him on the floor. Okay? But now, if I got my 90% free throw shooter on the floor, he gets fouled, and he misses that shot, I had my best player on the floor. I had the best personnel that I could muster at that point. But when we lose the game, it's still my fault. Because early in the game, we should have done this or that better. And you still win the game. So it's a two-way street, but the great, not the great, but the good coaches will take the blame for those losses. But when they get in that locker room, and they see that locker room is supposed to be sacred. So what we discuss and talk about in the locker room and practice, that's in our family. And it should stay in the family.
Oh, now, okay. Now, you said that, and back to the Miami Heat. Big discussion, and I know how I feel about it. The Celtics had a blow-up after the game. I think they're just simply frustration. They had to lead in 2 games, and down the stretch, they couldn't close it out, and they lost. I think this happens all the time. Right. It's typical. But now, to your point, last night they were discussing on inside the NBA, and Charles Barker said you keep that in-house. You don't have to go volunteer information. But the scene was so loud that reporters know they're outside waiting to talk, and they hear it and they report what's going on. But I just simply think it shouldn't be overblown. That type of situation happens. I'm sure you can relate to that during your coaching career.
Absolutely. That's gonna happen. Now, if I'm loud enough in the locker room where either the fans or the media outside the locker room hear me, then that's on me. But my players don't need to go out and give it to the public. And I think that's what they were talking about in this situation. Yeah, Marcus Smart had some things to say, and he said them loud. And the media that was outside the locker room overheard this. Well, they should not, in the media, this is my belief now, the media people that heard that, they should not have passed it on because it did not come directly to them. They overheard, and now a lot of times when you hear on the outside of the locker room, can you really distinguish voices? So they could have very well have put that on the wrong person, because unless that guy stands up in front of that microphone and say, "Yeah, we had this knockdown drag out in the locker room," then they shouldn't be reporting it. They should not. That's my opinion now, that they should not report it. And as a player and as a coach, I don't want my players airing what we're talking about in our locker room, because that's family. That's sanctity. And that's our sanctity in that locker room.
Yeah, and that was some of the things that was discussed last night after the Lakers and the Denver game, because it was family, and like I said earlier, those things happen. Now they play tonight. Boston's going to come out hard as usual. And to me, Coach, these two teams, they're in a way they're similar, and it's going to always, to me, come down to the end of the game, like it's done the last 2 games.
And to me, that's going to favor Miami because they're a better defensive squad. They have a better chance of stopping Boston than Boston stopping Miami. All right? Their game is like this. If Miami needs a shot, a basket late in the game, who they gonna give the ball to? Butler. And what's Butler gonna do? He going to the basket. All right. If you switch it over, who they gonna put right now? To me, they don't even know who they want to have the ball. Tatum. It might be Tatum. It might be the point guard. All right. He's in the slump. So then Kemba's gonna take a perimeter shot. Now Jason Tatum, depending on how the moon is, he might go to the basket. And then right now he probably gun shy. Because when he went to the basket, Bam put up the stop sign. Mm-hmm. So you gotta have when you gotta have a basket. To me, your chances are better if you can get to the basket because even if you miss the shot, there's a chance of a foul being called. Whereas if you take a perimeter shot, that's all you got. That's all you got. And then when you brought up the Lakers. Now, the Lakers, I told you early on, if they play post-up basketball, they'll win games. But now that LeBron has been slighted with his MVP, now they got to be very careful because LeBron might try to prove to the world that he's the best in the world, that he's the MVP. Now, with that being said, he might start trying to shoot the three. If he shoots the three a lot, they're going to lose. As long as he and Anthony Davis are posting up, nobody can handle those two guys. But they neutralize themselves when they stay on the perimeter.
Yeah, and, Anthony Davis, to me, he's the key.
Oh, yeah.
He's long, and the Lakers are long, but their bigs are athletic. They can really pose problems. But the post play, and so if you look ahead, both series still a lot of games to be played. If it's the Lakers and the Heat, of course the Lakers are going to be favored. Will they have a legitimate shot? I'm talking about Miami because of what you said earlier
about their defense.
This conversation.
Yeah, their defense is going to keep them in the game. But I think the lack of experience, they're playing. They got two rookies that are getting a lot of playing time, and down in crunch time, LA can put a squad on the floor that got a lot of playoff experience. When you start looking at Rondo and LeBron being on the floor at the same time in crunch time, both of those guys have won championships. They know what it takes to win. You don't have that same situation in Miami, but you got a team that will not back down and will not give up. So their defense will keep them in the game. But if it came down between LA and Miami, I would pick Miami because of I would pick the Lakers because of the experience, and I would pick the Lakers because of their length in the paint.
Yeah, and I couldn't disagree with that at all, Coach. And if, well, this may be a weird question, but if you had the chance to coach for either a game, either one of those teams, minded what you said about the Lakers and experience and the talent, which would be the most challenging or should we use the word intriguing, fun for you to coach?
Well, I think the most challenging team would be to coach the Lakers because you got LeBron there that thinks he knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
See, you wouldn't be able to get to me, he will stifle the things that a coach wants to do. And I'm gonna tell you something that a lot of people probably miss. When they interviewed Rondo last night, did you all hear what Rondo said? LeBron brought him there to do certain things, right? He didn't say the Lakers. He didn't say the organization. He didn't say Polanski, who's the GM. He said LeBron. LeBron brought me here to do these certain things. That's to me as a coach. Nah. I would prefer.
So you think Miami?
You doggone skip it because they play defense and they play more on the defensive end. They play more to my style. They get up in the people. They play aggressive. That's me. The offense will come. But I would take that defensive squad that Miami has over the Lakers to coach. Yep, I wouldn't want that headache fooling with LeBron. Because if he sits out there shooting them threes, I'll break both his ankles.
Wow. Visiting with Coach Van Pettaway, the Carlos Brown Show's basketball consultant and sports consultant. And thanks, Derek. Derek has a question for you, Coach. He says, what do you think about Doc and the Clippers? Oh, this is going to be good.
Wow. Well, I feel bad for Doc because they came into the season with all this hype. A lot of people had them, beating the Lakers in the conference championship and going to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
For them to lose the way they lost, that's very tough. They got some internal problems, and I think that's coming out now. It's coming out that, that you had players that didn't like each other and stuff like this. That's why they couldn't put it together down the stretch. And so I feel for Doc. He's a great coach, but he has a roster that did not mesh.
That is interesting, Coach Pettaway. So I'm going to ask you a question, but I think I don't know the answer. Back into the situation, Doc Rivers, he didn't get on the court and didn't play defense. He didn't miss open shots, but he's going to be what? Held responsible.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. He got to take the bullet for the team. That's what a coach is supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, we all know that we're not out there performing. It's the players that are performing. But now what we should really step up and where it's really our fault when we have the wrong personnel out there. Okay, like in basketball. If I got a point guard and he's turning the ball over, that's my problem. That's on me to coach. Why do I have a point guard? That's just like a quarterback. If you got a quarterback that's fumbling the football all the time and throwing interceptions, why do you have him on the field? Why do I have a point guard on the court who can't handle pressure and all he's doing is causing turnovers? So that's when everybody should point their finger at Van Pettaway, because I'm the one, I got that guy out there, and it's hurting our team.
And let me ask you this. A lot of conversation after I had Coach McNair on, and he mentioned that he doesn't micromanage.
Right, I don't either.
And I see some listeners said you love to use that word, micromanage. As a coach, I've stated, well, of course I'm not a coach, but I want an outstanding staff around me, as much as the university can allow me to give. Why is it bad to have a coach that micromanage?
Well, because that means that you're not allowing those assistants to do their job. That's just like a coach. If you got an athletic director that micromanage, if I'm your basketball coach, let me run my basketball program. Don't you interfere with my operations unless I'm violating either the university rules or the NC2A rule. Then everybody needs to be in my program. But if I'm the coach,
you're not taking a shot at Jerry Jones, huh?
Right. If you give me a budget in athletics, they give you a budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're my athletic director, don't question what I'm doing with my budget. To me, that's what you got to have. And then on an actual team, the head coach has to allow the assistant coaches to work. Because the other thing that's going to do, if you micromanage, the players are going to see that. And then they're not going to respect those assistants. You got to let them work. And then as a head coach, I always knew that I didn't know everything there was about basketball, so I wanted smart people around me. That's why I handpicked the assistants. I want assistant coaches that can help me be a better head coach. I want assistant coaches who one day want to be a head coach. And then as their boss, the guy that's responsible for everything, I will give them an opportunity to do their job. You can't just come and just sit on the sideline for me now. If you're not going to work, you're not going to work for me.
In other words, you hold them accountable, but you allow them to coach and contribute.
Correct. And see, that's just like I saw this thing the other day where they're saying Deion, and I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. The rumor was that Deion was going to go to Jackson State, and now it looks like it's true.
Get your popcorn ready.
Now listen. Now here's the thing with that. Some people are not going to like it, right? Because they're saying, well, he hadn't paid his dues. Okay, well, when do you pay your dues? All right, now he's a high school coach. He's an offensive coordinator. Got a very explosive team, right? Now this to me one of the things that is a feather in his cap. With Deion going to Jackson State, that's going to bring money into that program because the people that are sponsoring Deion, his sponsors, they're going to follow him. They're going to follow him. His name recognition. Deion walks into a house, into a recruit's home. That's instant respect because he's been a great player on all the levels. If that kid has any inkling about playing on the next level, he should feel that Deion can help him get there because he's been there and done that. So on a recruiting aspect, from the media, Jackson State is going to, all that's win. All of those are wins for Jackson State. Now you still got to turn around and do X's and O's. Now let me tell you what Deion's going to do. Deion is going to surround himself with people, number one, that he can trust, and people that know and people that he know that know their job. They know what to do. So now, the things that Deion is not familiar with, that's what those assistant coaches are for. They're the ones that are going to show him the ropes in the SWAC, the ropes at Jackson State, the ropes on the collegiate level, because I do think this is his first collegiate job. So there's a lot for him to learn, but if he surrounds himself with the right people, he'll be okay.
Do you think, Coach, because of who he is and what he's accomplished, but now will his grace period be shorter than, say, if Carlos Brown were coaching? And he had some assistant head coaching experience as a position coach or a coordinator on the collegiate level. But what you've stated, now, will his grace period be shorter? Will expectations be out of this world for him?
Well, I don't think the expectations from the Jackson State alumni and fans is going to change. They're going to expect him to win. He's going to be on the show. I feel he'll be on the show at least because I think that's been their history. If I'm not mistaken, now they've turned over football coaches rather frequently here in the last 10 years. So I don't think they're going to say, okay, we'll give him 4 years. No, they're not going to give him no 4 years.
Well, Jack State like Southern. he might get two.
Right. He's got to come in and do it, but I think he's going to help them on the recruiting trail. I think he will help them financially because I think he's got people in his corner that want him to be successful, and they probably going to help pump some money into that program.
Oh, boy, Coach, can I read this? He said, tell Coach that Southern University thought the same thing when he hired Stump Mitchell a decade ago. Well,
okay, well, see, I don't know now. Stump may not have the same pedigree as Deion now. Deion has shown now he was a defensive player, but have you checked out his offensive philosophy? He's got his son being one of the top quarterbacks in the nation.
Yeah, I think he committed.
Now look, let me ask you this: he committed to another school already, right?
Yeah, now that's committed. That's not instant.
Right. So now, if that's my son, he coming with me. He coming with me because I didn't have that job before, but I got this job now. You come play for me.
Win.
Yeah.
Coach, he's got to win, and that's why I asked the question: is the expectation going to be unrealistic for him because of who he is, what he's done? But that's going to be interesting.
Yes, it is.
I mean, get the popcorn ready. Get your favorite adult beverage. For some, that's probably ginger ale. Yep. And sit back, because guess what? As much as the way how I feel about it, maybe I can't be objective because it's Jackson State, but it don't matter. Whoever the coach is, I, as a Southern alum, beat Jackson State at all costs. Now we'll talk about the other schools as well, but
yeah, and see, I'll be there when Dion comes to Huntsville. Oh, I'll be right there, and I won't be pulling for him. I'm gonna be pulling for the Dogs. Yeah, Coach Maynard, that's our guy. So as long as he's not playing A&M, I'll pull for him to be successful. But when that schedule rolls around, it's time for the Dogs, he got to go down.
Maybe I need to talk to Maynard. Well, actually, he's on my list to talk to. But I wish everyone much success.
Oh, yes.
And I'll just put it that way, and I'll leave it that way. Boy, people are texting left and right. One listener says every coach has to win. That's true.
Right.
But I still ask the question: he's expected to win, but will his expectations? You've answered that in your opinion. It's never a dull moment in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. So just wait to actually football season and the sporting events happen.
Right. And we'll see that this spring because he's coming in and now, so that means he'll be coaching them in the spring.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that, put it this way. I won't say let's hope. Let's see if they'll be able to play. And, this COVID-19 situation is still tough. They're still undefeated.
That's right.
On that note, Coach, I'm going to say I'm glad we had this time together.
I am too, man. I really appreciate it, and I want you guys to stay safe. Everybody be blessed, and let's talk again some other time, okay?
Yes, sir. That sounds like a winner to me.
All right, sir. Thank you, man.
Go Swag.
All right. Yep.
All day. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Going to take a time out. That's interesting, boy. Well, let's see, 11:41. Let me see if I can have a couple of minutes here. And going to read some text messages. Yeah, Deion Sanders is a great quarterback. Yes, that is true. Michael, love him to death. Happy birthday, brother. Don't look a day over 35. Appreciate you listening. He says, Carlos, the fact is this. Carlos, as of now, Alcorn just have better talent. And I said, I disagree. It's coaching and it's mental. And then he says, we can disagree, but I just don't believe that the talent is there. Just look at what Noah has done since he left Alcorn. Yeah, I saw him score a touchdown. And by the way, did you see Noah Johnson in an article? He said the first coach to offer a scholarship, the first university to him when he got approved to get another year. You want to guess? Anybody want to guess? It was Southern University. That's not opinion. That's a fact, according to Noah Johnson. You can't say the same for Southern University quarterback. Yeah, we'll agree to disagree on that. There's talent. It's other things. But guess what? I'll be the first one when they knock in and that door and win the championship. I'll be the first to say, good job. I'll say, good job. Because you love the word micromanaging. Yeah. I do. Thank you, Derek. And besides, your coach says he doesn't micromanage. Coach Pettaway said you can't really do it. It's not, you can do it, but that's not a good thing. Top 4 quarterbacks. Still, people are commenting on that. Top 4 coaches, I'm sorry. not quarterback. Let me get my three in. I said McNair. I'm going to go with Bob's number 2. Odom's number 3. See, I don't know if I could put... Well, they're going to be in the SWAC. I mean, where do you put Willie Simmons? 4? Could be 3. Could make an argument for. At least 3. McNair. Fobbs. Odoms. Now we'll put Odoms number 2. Get it? Get it? Second place, second best coach. Get it? 3rd, Fobbs. 4th, Maynard. There you go. Take a quick time out. We'll visit with Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mike Prince, the pastor of the Temple of Refuge Ministries located in Prairie View, Texas. I am extending a personal invitation to you to come and worship with us Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Simply dial 857-777-0000 and join us for our morning worship. In the event that you miss us live, you can always go to our on-demand center at 720-721-1558 to listen to our latest sermons and Bible studies. Temple of Refuge Ministries, where we're building the kingdom, one soul at a time. Numbers to dial again for our live sermons, 857-777-0000 and on demand, 720-721-1558. Be blessed.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Him too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work. There's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control of my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. I appreciate the dialogue. Whew, boy, somebody's taking a whipping today, and it's not me. Our final guest of today's show is Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Charles, good morning. Charles, you are blessed that you're not in a hot and political hotbed in Lorman like you would be if you were in Baton Rouge.
You are right about that, brother.
Woo, boy.
That's right.
Yeah, if you can't stand the heat, you have to get out the kitchen, I guess.
Yeah, that's politics plays a part in every aspect of our lives, whether we want to believe it or accept it or not. And that's whether it's football, whether it's governor, mayor, it doesn't matter. Politics play a part in just about everything we do. Every decision that's made, there's a little political tinge to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it is a situation now that most of the conversation today, and it'll continue, and it'll continue for the next 3-4 weeks, maybe a month. We've shared communications this week. Deion Sanders prime time. And you're getting varied opinions. Coach Pettaway just talked about it. Social media. What are your thoughts? We've gotten everybody else's perspective. We might as well get Charles Edmonds' perspective.
Hey, I'm all for it, to be honest with you. It'll be great for the conference. You get a big name like that, College Football Hall of Fame, pro football, great player, very charismatic character. And look, he's looking for an opportunity. And if you just go back this timeline, he said in December that he will be coaching football. At what level? I mean, he's doing that now, but he wants to be a coach. And there's an opportunity there. And so for me, I'm not surprised. I'm probably more surprised that Deion was interested in Jackson State. Not surprised that Ashley Robinson trying to go out there and get him, because you just have to understand. I think I understand Ashley Robinson pretty well, the AD at Jackson State, as the person he is. He wants to make a big splash, whether it's Prairie View, at Valley, or even at Jackson State. And if this happens, looks like it will definitely it'll definitely sell more tickets. That's for sure. But then, as the new car smell wears off, he obviously is going to have to win some games. I think the alumni have invested in this. From what I've been told, that they raised a bunch of money to help make this happen. So they're vested in it. So everyone's got their little piece of the pie in this thing, and we'll see. Hopefully in the next couple of days we'll get an official announcement. I think Jackson State released, I don't know if that's true or not, the schedule of events for Monday or whatever day next week, where they'll announce who the next coach will be. Looks like it's Deion. Some people believe it's not going to happen. Some people believe it might be T.C. Taylor. We'll see. But if it's Deion, then definitely it's got everybody's antennas up for sure.
I've been asked this by several people I confide in. I do the group text message situation. We have some great dialogue, varying opinions. And one in the group asked me, he feels a certain way. Deion Sanders couldn't, Florida State. They didn't take a chance on him. He's a Florida State. He played collegiate football. I'm going to put it that way. Why couldn't get a job there? His concern is that these type of persons like that, they didn't go to HBCU, but when it's time to get a job, it's the first place that they come to. Now, albeit some of them have the pedigree of being at least an assistant coach, some head coaches, and he doesn't believe that HBCUs ought to be a school where they get on-the-job training just to go on to another coaching opportunity in the next, couple of years. Have you heard those kind of discussions, talking to people?
I have. One in particular, a good friend of mine, mentor of mine, has, when the word came out, he immediately called me and said basically in his words, it's a disgrace to make this decision, and you've got other coaches that are trying to cut their teeth to get into the game that are deserving of an opportunity, who work their way up the ranks. So the answer to your question is yes, I have heard that. Mm-hmm. So it is a very valid point. I do think, and not excusing it, but I do think if it wasn't Deion Sanders, because even though he has not coached, he just recently got his master's degree. I think if it wasn't Deion Sanders and the name recognition, then that might be the case. Jackson might go that route. T.C. Taylor, perhaps. And there's some other names out there that are definitely deserving to get an opportunity to be a head coach, because they chopped the wood and they hit the pavement.
They went through the process.
They went through the process, correct. I mean, it's unfortunate. You know, you can make the case at the pro level. Steve Nash getting the job with the New Jersey Nets. He never coached. He just came in off the street basically and got the Nets job. I mean, he's a great player, great guy, but hadn't coached. So you can make the same case. I just think if it wasn't Deion Sanders, if it wasn't that game, then the conversation would be going in a whole nother way. This clearly, to me, is trying to make a big splash. I think all this started, you know, just going back to Alcorn leaving the East, going to the West. I think that Ashley Robinson feels like the East is wide open once Alcorn leaves in 2021. I think all this is set up for 2021, even though, you know, we'll have football in 2020, the 2020 season, we hope. And just, you know, although I don't think it's going to be a pushover that JSU's going to win the East or even be in contention in 2021 with Alcorn leaving, I've said that it's going to be Florida A&M's division, but we can have a debate about that at another time.
Yeah, we will have a debate about that with Charles Edmond because you have drunk the FAMU Kool-Aid. Go ahead.
I continue. I just look at who's coaching Florida A&M. I think Willie Simmons is in the East. It's about defense. I think the Western Division is about offense. You got teams like Grambling, Southern can score points, Prairie View is scoring points, but in the East it's about defense. And if you got an offense that can figure out what the defense is doing, I don't think there's enough offense in the East, minus Alcorn. I mean, name it other than Alabama A&M this year, and we'll see what happens in 2020 with Akil Glass and company. But
Charles, we do have a team, and I watched the replay against Jackson State. You do have a team that's won 9 straight, but continue on against FAMU. At least I know one school is not going to bow down.
I agree, and I think Bethune will be a major player. I mean, if I were to bet, I mean, I wouldn't, but if I was, I would still bet on Florida A&M. Yeah, I would. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'll come on and say, hey, I was dead wrong. But if I were a betting man right now, I would bet 2021 on Florida A&M. But look, I think Jackson State's got to make a big splash. I think they have to at this point with what's happening in the Eastern Division. They have to get back in the game. And they haven't been in the game, quite honest. I think John Hendricks made a quick splash when he was first hired as coach once Tony Hughes was let go. They were 1 win away from winning the East 2 years ago. Clearly, once Deion Sanders got on the radar, however way it happened, you can kind of see the events. Hendricks was let go. You had T.C. Taylor there that was in the mix. But, you know, they have to make a big splash. Their fan base is too passionate, just like Southern. You know, their fan base is just too passionate, and they've got to find a way to get back in the game. And you look at the schedule, April Waters, they added Florida A&M, they added Southern. You get Deion in there, if he wins right off the bat, I don't know what the attendance number is going to look like, what the capacity will be at Memorial, what our governor's going to say by the spring. Clearly, they're going to sell tickets, even on the road, when they go on the road, because Deion Sanders, they'll be selling tickets. You know, so it's a bold move, and you know, I used to play poker, Carlos. I'll say this: the word all in. I think Ashley Robinson has pushed all his chips in the middle of the table with this one. If it happens, this has got to work because there's a lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of tools being put in the toolbox to make it work. And if it doesn't, then there's going to be some prices to pay at the end of this. But hey, it's exciting. It's worth talking about. And, you know, we'll see if it works. I'm looking forward to seeing the challenge. You know, if Jackson wins this in the spring, Alcorn host Jackson State. How's that going to look? I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun, but you still got to get it down on the field once the new car smell wears off. And it will. You're going to have to win some games.
Wow, the new car smell. Yeah. And I tell you, again, it's the competitive nature, spirit. It should be elevated in every program. It should be. The best man, the best woman will win. And that's what you're going to be ultimately judged on. So we'll see with Jackson State. Monday, all eyes will be on Jackson. The whole nation will be on Jackson. and see the official announcement, which people have known about for a month. We will see, Charles. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Vicksburg, did they finally get the first victory of the season?
No, they did not.
What? Wait a minute, I thought they had tied it up.
They tied it up, and Natchez marched right down the field and scored, and that was it. But it was a well played ball game. I think the Wing Chiefs coming along, and if they get that going, if the defense tightens up a little bit, they'll be fine. They got a Thursday night game coming up, so that'll be a tough turnaround for them.
Well, you saw improvement. That's the main thing. Yeah, that's what you look at on that level, improvement. Have a great weekend, Charles. We'll talk again soon.
Be safe, everybody. Be good.
Be safe. You're right. Thanks a lot, Charles. Well, I want to thank Courtney Gaucher, Coach Van Pettaway, Charles Edmond, and Dr. Michael Prince, and all of you who tuned in. Let the conversation continue, whether it's social media or phone calls. Keep the discussion live, and then make sure you tune in next Saturday at 10 a.m. for another edition of the Coles Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Until next time, as always, peace and God bless.